I've got a bunch of metal detectors out here today, as you can see, from the $499 price range all the way up to $1,599. Now, I've went through and I've set all of these detectors up in a comparable way for this unmasking test right here. A nickel, elevated nail, and another one laying on the same plane. A 12-inch USA silver $half. I'll put it up right here. You see the weight of the silver and the silver content. And that coin has been in the ground for about 6 years now. Now, with that being said, I've got a lot of detectors, and for time constraints, I'm not going to go through each menu system and tell you about it as far as telling you the settings or showing you the settings. I'm just going to tell you really quickly what we've done here. You guys follow me. You guys that use these machines will know what I'm talking about. All-terrain general, recovery speed of 4, great depth and very good separation. Deus II, recovery speed of 2, silencer 0. And all of these machines are set up in all tones or full tones. That is where the tones work on a sliding scale, except for the Vanquish 560, which does not have that. But every machine is set up that with the lowest possible filters that you can run in my area that I have used. The Equinox 900 is set up with a recovery speed of 4, all tones, iron bias 0, which I used on the 800 for years. The Nokta Legend 2 is set up with a recovery speed of 4 and the iron filter at 2. The Nokta Legend is set up with an iron filter of 1, stability 5, recovery speed 4. And those two machines are running M2. The Equinox 900 will be Part 2. The Deus II is built off of fast, and again, the Manticore is general program. The Triple Score is running Park, and it's running the recovery speed is 3 or 2, and the filter is lowered down to 2. And the Vanquish, we've got the filter lowered down to 0, and the recovery speed is preset. Everything is preset, and it's running park mode. Yeah, that's a mouthful. But it's not to make one detector look bad, better. They all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. The top two, on the end here are pricey, but they have their strengths. You can go prospect with them. They're the deepest on the beach. But what about the person who does not need that? What about the person who just does general detecting, runs into a little iron situation every now and then, likes to look for coins? You could even ask yourself, likes simplicity, likes to be able to change their machine and customize it. These are all things that come into play. But on two scenarios here, a very simple unmasking test and a depth test today, let's see what you get from $15.99 all the way down to $4.99. We're going to start out today with the Manticore. And one thing to note out here, guys, is we do have high EMI. This is a high EMI area, and you guys can look at how the machines are handling it. I've tested all the machines off camera when I was setting them up to get them to apples, and basically try to handle the EMI in a comparable way. But it's going to surge out here in the afternoon. We've got a plant that they built over here, and we may have to drop the sensitivity to 21. But this is another thing too, little side note before somebody says something. All of these detectors have different levels of sensitivity scales. How do I know what works with them? Well, I've used them, tested them, compared them head to head. So I've got a base knowledge of what the sensitivity levels are and how to get them, hot enough, but not overdrive them too much to where you start getting negative effects. You will hear some of the detectors chatter, high EMI area. Manticore, let's run it back to 22. Smacks it like a sitting on top of the ground, right? Well, unmasking test. And the Manticore is running a slower recovery speed, but unmask that coin very easily. If you were hunting heavy iron, you may opt to raise the recovery speed. You lose a little bit of depth, but even with a higher recovery speed, the Manticore is a deep machine, possibly the deepest. The Deus II and it are neck and neck on land, maybe in hot dirt. Manticore edge, beach edge, Deus II edge in heavy iron unmasking. With that being said, we've got to be careful here. I may have to set the Deus II down, and I know that you're supposed to hold it up off the ground, but I've got two DJI mics going, and it normally affects the coil pairing and how this machine pairs up. So let's see if holding it out, I can get it to pair. Maybe it paired, and if it did, we'll take off with it. You can hear the EMI, it's affecting it. Let's put this mic over here on the ground, and we'll hook up the Equinox to it in just a minute. But let's hold this one off. Depth test. EMI hitting that could be some of the DJI mic, but whatever EMI I have in my yard is really not a problem for the Deus II. Whatever EMI I have in my yard is particularly hard on the Deus II. Now, let's talk about EMI just for a second between these two detectors. The Manticore, with the two normal coils, 11 and the 9, is better EMI handling capability, but that HF2 coil for the Deus II is the best I've ever seen it handling EMI. Let's look at the Equinox, and we'll check it out. This is a $1,000 metal detector. Those two are $1,500. So I'm not going to go through noise canceling and all that. Already done it. Check it out. And there you go. So here we go. Kind of quiet, ain't it? We can bump it up to 22. 22. Minelab did something with these coils too, these new Equinoxes, and they're handling the EMI really well too. And remember what that recovery speed is? 4. So we could get a little more unmasking out of it if we raise the recovery speed, but we're trying to balance for just general detecting, good depth, and good unmasking. Let's look at the Legend 2. This is Nokta's new product here. Let me make sure that I've got the mics moving over. This is a lot going on right here, guys. When you see these videos being shot like this is a lot going on. When you got these mics, you make one mistake, and then one detector don't get the audio recorded correctly. Let's look at here. We look like we're pretty stable. M2. Let's lower that recovery down to 4. And the iron filter is at 1. Let's bump it to 2 to be fair. I don't know if you can run 1 on the new Legend 2 out in heavy iron, but 2, we'll go with that. One thing to note, do you hear anything? Yeah. But one of Nokta's things is this audio in heavy iron. Listen right here. You hear that stretchy long signal? That's kind of unique to Nokta, where normally the other detectors kind of blip at that point, and that is unique to Nokta's audio in the heavy iron with mass targets a lot of times. Let's look at the lower price Legend 1 here and see what we got going on with it. Let's make sure that the mic's still recording. Yep, still recording. Iron filter is 1, and what did I say? 1 on the iron filter, stability 5. And that is a kind of a low setting. And this one's, you know, when this one come out, they added all this stuff later on. And that iron filter setting on this detector is a little bit confusing in how it works. But you guys can see recovery speed 4 and such, all tones and all that good stuff. Let's look at the 12-inch target. And one thing that's definitely been improved on the Legend 2 is that ID. You see that bounce? That's one thing that the Legend always did, and they improved it on the Legend 2. It's more stable ID at depth. And you hear the click poppy audio. They definitely cleaned the audio up on the Legend 2 over the Legend 1. Question, is it worth the extra money for the Legend 2 over the Legend 1? Well, you guys will have to decide that for yourself. Now, here's Nokta's offering. The Triple Score to me, and I don't have an Elite. An Elite and a Triple Score by Minelab are close. The Elite Expedition Pack is $5.99. The Triple Score Pro Pack is $4.99. And they're really close. The Elite pulls ahead on the beach on smaller gold. On land, they seem to be comparable with, and I think the Triple Score has the Elite in unmasking capabilities by a slim margin. But on the smaller gold, definitely Elite on the beach. Now, we see the Triple Score. Let's see what we got the sensitivity at on it. 12, 13, 14. Let's come down. And we'll run it right there. Check this out. $499 detector. And you hear that little bit of bounce in it, a little bit of shift on the deep target, but still a nice high tone. You would dig it. You would know that it's a nice target to be digging. It's true, different coil sizes, but that's still pretty impressive, for $499, you know what I mean? And it's got a lot of customizability, and that is one thing we're going to show about the Vanquish here. Now, if you want to compete with the customizability of the Triple Score, and they give you everything under the sun with it in the Pro Pack and the deals they run with it, you would have to go to the Minelab Elite Expedition Pack to really compete with the settings and the features and the customizability of this unit. The Vanquish is an interesting unit. I made a video when they announced this. Did Minelab make a mistake? And, you know, you're going to have to be the judge of that. There's no tone options. I'm just going to show you this unit. It's pretty much just turn on and go, right? So let's just turn it on. All right, guys. So this detector here is kind of unique. It's a turn on and go. It doesn't really have anything on it. Just look, guys. Set reject, iron bias. It does have these cool little ear pods I really like. But it's kind of unique in that it's just very simple. Turn on and go. But let's check it out. Has it got any depth to it? Well, it's definitely got some stability to it. That's 9 sensitivity. You put it in 10. You start getting feedback. We go back to 9. And oh yeah, for the gentleman out there that made a video that there was something wrong with this unit, he should have read the instruction manual. And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, but the segments across the top, he was talking about park mode didn't hit gold. You see, I've got it in custom mode. Well, what I done is I went into park mode, and let me show you guys that real quick. I went into park mode and I added the segments back and then saved it in a custom profile. So it'll hit all the way down to 0, which is smaller gold on these machines that like to give a low number. So his video was error. It was just that he needed to add, they chose not to put those knot segments in, I guess for simplicity. I don't know why they did. It should have been in my opinion, but that's what they did from Minelab. 12-inch silver half. Okay, I wonder how this thing's going to do on the beach. We're going to take it to Triple Score and compare it. Let's look on the unmasking. And this is park mode. Let me go get back and get the Manticore, just so we can contrast these two, okay? I mean, let me get the Manticore here. We want to contrast these two, right? Let's cut it off. Let's put the Manticore back on it. We got the Manticore really opened up with an upper of 7 and a lower of 3. That is really opened up on this machine. You know, so we're at this like unique place, and I guess all boils down to what do you want. The Manticore's got different features, the best menu layout, customizability, you know, over that machine, but and this is at a recovery of 4, so this machine is kind of handicapped a little bit. We could break it up to 6. Yes, there is a difference, but you guys see $1,500 versus $499. We see the offerings from Nokta. We see the offerings from XP, or the offering from XP. We see the Legend 2. And you guys tell me what you think in the comments below. Very simple test, but I was thinking about these tests. A lot of times I'll do very, very difficult tests on some of these higher end metal detectors to see which one edges the other out. But this test is done in the mindset of just general coin detecting, general relic hunting, and, you know, simplicity of use definitely goes to the Vanquish 560 in the same price range. The Triple Score has great customizability, different tones, whatever you want to use. We start getting up Legend, which I'm good with the Legend. The Legend 2, $1,000 price range with the Equinox. I got a video up on the beach of that. I'll show, well, you just seen it right here on these two tests. Then you got the Deus II, and then the Minelab Manticore, and don't forget the Elite, the Minelab Elite. I wished I had one here to show. It would be comparable to the Triple Score, edging it out on smaller gold. And how does that stack up to the Vanquish? Well, I don't know performance-wise, but yeah, unmasking because you can lower and raise the recovery speed on the Elite. You got more adjustability. So whatever you need, there it is. You guys tell me what you think in the comments below. We're really in a unique place where I think that depth, you know, that used to be the first question. How deep is the machine? Well, you know, unless you're dealing with highly mineralized dirt, and we know that Minelab is the king of that on depth, that they edge out the other detectors in more highly mineralized dirt. But there's one guy in Colorado that says that he's tested the Legend 2 in highly mineralized dirt, and it's kind of matching the 900. So maybe that's changing in their latest model. But just general detecting, what do you guys think in mild to moderate dirt? And just your general detecting purposes. I know that we all have different things that we need. I dive, so the Deus II is my primary because I do everything with it, relic hunt, dive, you know, all that stuff with it. But I love the Manticore too, and, you know, I think that I could take any one of those detectors laying over there and actually go out hunt with it and find some stuff. So thanks for watching.